Thank you for your testimony today. I have a few questions to start on demographics, and specifically page 8 of your report. I note that it looks like here in 2020, or last year in 2020, we had about 2.5 million Pennsylvanians who are in the category of 65 and older, and about 1.6 million in the ages 20 to 30. And those numbers increase for 65 and older based on your estimates going forward, and decrease for the 20 to 30 cohort. How do we as a state compare with, first of all, the rest of the country for those age groups? Do you have a ranking for that?
I don't have a ranking currently, though I can say generally we're certainly out in front of the curve. We're generally an older state. We hit the baby boom retirement a little earlier than the rest, but they're starting to follow close behind us. But we're certainly one of the older states, regardless of the metric that's used.
Okay. Similarly, with respect to migration, which is on the next page, page 9 of your report, those numbers are described as net migration numbers, which I assume means that's taking into consideration people coming in as well as people going out. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And these are just domestic, so interstate migration patterns?
Correct. It excludes anyone international.
Okay. Do you have the numbers broken out somewhere for the number of people who are actually coming into the state, just that number?
Oh, yes, we can separate the two components, the inflow and the outflow. That's easily done.
Okay. And do you have you done that in comparison to, say, our neighboring states?
Yes, in the past we have. I don't have the data here, but that's easily done as well.
Okay. If you could get that to us as a follow-up, that would be helpful. I wonder too, on that data with respect to the migration, whether it's possible to break that out by age cohorts also.
Yes, that would be possible.
Okay. If you could do that, that would be helpful. You know, something similar to the breakout that you have for overall age demographics on page 8. If you do that with respect to the migration into the state, and I think for that matter, the separate number, the migration out of the state, and then compare it, if you could, to the states surrounding Pennsylvania, that would be helpful. What about migration? Maybe it's the wrong word for it, but it's the same idea of business. Do you have information on that? Companies that relocate into Pennsylvania or leave the state, for that matter?
No, we do not, and I can speak to that briefly in our tax credit work, where we're trying to develop economic incentives to lure businesses to the state. We've tried to work to identify that number. We have been unable to do so yet, but it's on our list to work with DCED to identify the firms locating into the state or migrating out.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see that information, and particularly too in terms of sectors of the economy. Whether there's any pattern at all in terms of certain sectors more likely to come in or leave, or whether it's just all over the place. It would be interesting to have that information too. One last set of questions. There was a discussion, several senators were asking you questions about the minimum wage. What analysis, if any, have you done on what an increase in the minimum wage, whether it's $12 an hour or ultimately $15 an hour, or some other number, would have on the cost of various social safety net programs in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, so we do include that as part of our more comprehensive analysis, and we're working on that right now with DHS to rerun those numbers, because it does have a notable impact on the cost of those programs. So we will plan to include those in our new analysis at the end of the month.
That's great. And when you do that, how are you planning on breaking it out? Are you taking a look at several different wage levels or are you just looking at, say, $15 an hour?
Yeah, last time, it's very difficult to break it out into different wage levels. I believe we went with $12 an hour, and we'll probably do the same this year.
Okay.